You know, this all has to do with muzzleloading, and you are the man that has been doing a lot of muzzleloading, for a lot of your life.
I started building them I don't know why really. I had been a bow hunter for a lot of years, and I really wasn't all that excited about taking modern rifles out and hunting
Looking
deer.
for a challenge.
Yeah.
For folks who are looking for the very basics of muzzleloading to get started, I'm going to ask you very basic questions. Let's work our way from the flintlock up to the inline. Now, today's not about necessarily shooting. It's about getting to the point where you can get shooting and get shooting good. Now, let's start with the flintlock.
This whole mechanism here is the flintlock. This part that I just closed, that's the frizzen. Where I put the powder is the pan. Of course, this is the frizzen spring, and there's the hammer springs inside the mechanism where you can't see it. This is the hammer, and right there in the front is the flint. And whenever this falls, this flint comes down against the frizzen, and it shaves particles off of there, and those little particles create the sparks. Cock the hammer, and then drop it.
And then we saw the sparks go.
And those sparks will ignite that powder. That powder will flash. And when it flashes, it shoots a stream of fire through that touch hole right there, which sets off the powder charge.
And you know what? There's a tiny bit of a delay. Yeah, so when you're on something, when you're shooting, hang in there. Your follow through better be really good, because there's just a second's hesitation by the time it takes that powder, that spark to hit that powder, then to go in there and ignite that charge. All right, Mark, let's go up. And when did these come on the scene?
These followed the flintlocks. This is a percussion, and they came along after the flintlocks. They were a little bit more reliable ignition system, and it was the predecessor to encased cartridges, you might say, that had their own primer.
Now let's show how the ignition system works on this.
We load it from the muzzle just like we did the other one. We'll cock the hammer, and we'll put a cap on there, and a cap.
Show us what that sounds like. The ignition
right
system.
Here, and we'll make sure that it's pointed right. But yeah.
That's enough to just.
And if you do that before you load your gun, if you'll do it after your gun's been stored and all, and you've greased the bore down and all that, you do that once, maybe twice or so, that will blow a lot of that oil and stuff that you push down the barrel, or cleaning the things that you knocked off the inside of the barrel when you were cleaning it and pushed it down here. It tends to clear that passageway, because you need a good clear passageway for the fire from that cap to get to the powder charge.
All right, now as you look at this gun right here, it looks like something brand new off the shelf. Now I probably got this 8 or 10 years ago, and that's an inline.
It's essentially the same mechanism with a little bit more modern components.
All right.
Instead of pouring powder in the barrel, you do have these pellets. You drop those in the barrel and then put your bullet in, ram it down there. And that's probably a good thing to point out if you're talking about people just starting to do this. Remember that when you do load this thing from the muzzle, you must seat the bullet against the powder charge, all the way against the breech. If that bullet is seated up here somewhere, it's not against the powder charge, that's no longer a bullet. It's a barrel obstruction. Barrel obstructions cause barrels to burst.
It's a pipe bomb.
So that's an important thing about loading a muzzle loader. If you have some people starting out, make sure that thing seats. But after you do load the barrel, then you put your primer, your ignition system in there.
Like
yeah.
It goes right in here like so. It's so simple.
The ignition system on this one is actually the same thing that you use on a shotgun shell. Mm-hmm. It's the primer system, which is probably a little bit hotter spark. This is an outstanding rifle for 100 yards on the end, and you could probably shoot this one very effectively out further than that even.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start with the flintlock. Let's load her up.
We'll load her up. So I'm putting 70 grains of powder in this measure right here. I'm gonna pour it. Next, I'm gonna put a little piece of patch material on there and a bullet.
Now again, that patch is to create a seal.
It creates a seal. It has a grease on it, and that's really important. I started it with the bullet starter. Now I'm going to take my patch knife, and I'm going to come back and I'm just going to trim that off right at the muzzle right there. I'm going to take the other ball starter, come back to there, get it started there. So I'm using a range rod.
What is a range rod?
Well, a range rod, this is brass, so it doesn't harm the lands of the barrel, but it's also nice and heavy and stiff. You know, you can use the ramrod, the hickory one that comes with the rifle and everything, but I don't use it when I'm on the range. It's okay in the woods.
They're not that hard to break.
You need to be careful, and if you're using you want to ram it from right here if you're using the wood one for sure. On a brass one, I'm not too much worried about it. Now, see, that's seated. And
so again, you don't want any space. You want that ball on top of that powder.
it's the powder's on the breech plug and the ball's sitting right on top of it. So I'm ready to load the pan now. And I'm going to pull this back to half cock. And I'm going to take this right here, which has 4F powder in it.
So it's even finer.
It's about as fine as baby powder.
Gotcha.
And which means it sets off easier.
Right.
So, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to drop a little bit right there. I'm going to put just about that much in the pan.
Just enough to fill that little indentation.
All I want is, I don't want it to burn. I want it to flash.
Now at this point, you're ready to shoot. All you do is drop that
I'm
down.
going to close the frizzing, and right now I'm ready to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
On a dry day like this, where I'm not really concerned about too much water fouling my charge, I'll hunt like this. I'll tend to carry the rifle like this mostly because I don't want it filling up that flash hole.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be like this. All I have to do is come back one more click and it's ready to fire. If we've done everything right, it'll make a loud noise. You pick out that hillside right there.
All right, now as we hear the sound of freedom in the background, we're gonna watch you load up the next step up.
I'll put 70 grains in this one just simply because I know that 70 grains works. And when you're learning what your gun shoots, and it's a 50 caliber, let's start with 50 grains and work your way up. That's just a good rule of thumb. You could start with, on a 50 caliber, you could use triple F or double F powder, or the equivalent in Pyredex, or the 7. I'm going to use the Sabo, the saboted bullet. This particular bullet is a 44 caliber, 300 grain Hornady XTP bullet and a hollow point. You'll get modern bullet performance out of this. So we'll place that in there and get it started. I'll use the bullet starter to get it going because it just makes it easier to go. I'm going to push that all the way down till it seats. If we put a cap on here, and now this rifle is hot.
It's ready to roll.
It's ready to roll.
There's your safety.
We're on half cock right now. That's as safe as you can make this rifle with a cap on it, and that would be the way I would hunt with this right here.
Go ahead and fire one off.
We'll pick out. We'll pick out one of that hillside right there.
It's my wife's. Trying to make things easy for her, and she likes it a lot. And I use about 100 grains of powder. Now show us what form that powder's in.
This is an inline muzzle loader. It's not like the others. It's more modern design. You could put powder in it and it would work, but we're going to use the pellets. They're hollow. They're like donut shaped. We're going to drop those down the barrel. We use a shotgun primer, and when we talk about it being inline, the others were ignited from the side. This one is ignited right at the breech plug and that hollow design right there. So we would drop 2 of these down in there. Each one of them's 50 grains. That'd be a 100 grain load. And then we have the bullet with the sabot. We'll seat that on top of it and push it all the way down. We'll open this like this. We'll take the primer. We'll put it right in there and we'll close it. This gun is ready to hunt with right now. To fire this, pull this back, pick out a safe background.
So we have gone from the 1700s until today, and I mean, essentially, there's nothing different about that gun you shot earlier. Then, I mean, the mechanisms are all the same. The powder may have changed slightly from those days, but I mean, all the way up to a very modern type gun. And you know what? Out of all of them, I like that first one you shot.
You like the flintlock?
Thank you so much for sharing a lot of information from a lot of experience. I know you've been doing this a long time, and we thank you so much.
Thank you.